Let's talk about a feeling that so many leaders carry around, but almost never name. It's this deep, hidden exhaustion. And it's not just about being tired, right? It's a depletion that comes from being stuck in this relentless cycle where it feels like our worth is just a number we have to prove, over and over again. Today, we're going to open up a toolkit that's designed to help you dismantle that whole pressure system from the inside out. Okay, let's get into it. This right here, this is the core idea we're building everything on today. Sustainable, real leadership. It's not some constant, frantic performance to prove you belong. It's a practice. It's a series of small, intentional, consistent choices that, over time, build a culture of real clarity and trust. So, this brings us to the central metaphor for our whole explainer. Are you an architect? Someone who is intentionally designing the culture around you? Or are you a passenger, just reacting to the pressures, getting carried along by fear and a constant sense of urgency? These questions we're about to go through are designed to help you see which role you're defaulting to, especially when things get tough. Okay, let's start with the blueprint. The actual experience you are creating for other people. The culture you build is a direct reflection of your leadership. So think of these first few questions as a diagnostic tool, a way to see what it really feels like to be on the other side of you. Just take a moment with that one. Seriously, when you walk into a room, when you join a video call, does the energy in that space expand with possibility? Or does it kind of shrink with caution? This is maybe the most fundamental measure of your impact as a leader. And this question, it connects directly to that last one. When people curate their communication, when they're carefully editing and filtering what they say to you, it's a huge sign that they're making themselves smaller just to stay safe. Psychological safety isn't some corporate buzzword. It's the bedrock that determines whether you get the real truth or just quiet compliance. Your pace, the speed you operate at, it's a powerful teacher. A frantic, urgent pace teaches your team that their value is tied only to their output, that rest is some kind of luxury, and that being busy is a virtue. But an intentional pace, that teaches them that clarity and humanity actually matter more than just constant motion. Your tone of voice, that little edge of impatience, that heavy sigh, the subtle sarcasm, it can become a weapon without you even realizing it. It signals to everyone whether telling you the truth comes with a threat. A regulated tone doesn't mean you're soft. It just means you're safe enough to hear hard things, which is absolutely non-negotiable for a healthy team. And this slide says it all, really. This isn't about being nice or changing your personality. It's about the very structure of your leadership. When you can shift your presence, you shift the entire culture from one of control to one of clarity, from chaos to stability. Now that is real architectural work. Oof, this is a subtle one, but it's a dangerous trap, especially in organizations that are really mission-driven. A noble vision can accidentally become a tool of extraction, where devotion to the cause gets confused with total depletion. It's when the mission, even unintentionally, is used to justify burnout. Okay, this is one of the most critical distinctions in all of leadership. Listen to this. Both accountability and shame can change behavior. That's true. But one of them builds your culture up, while the other one slowly, quietly poisons it from the inside. And the difference, as you can see, is just stark. Accountability is all about restoring ownership and focusing on repair. It keeps a person's dignity intact. Shame, on the other hand, attacks a person's core identity. It just collapses their sense of agency and teaches them that mistakes aren't just errors, they're dangerous. So now we shift our focus inward. Because the blueprint you create for others is always, and I mean always, drawn from the architecture of your own inner world. The outer culture you see is just a mirror reflecting your inner state. So much of what we call strong leadership is really just a performance. It's a brittle facade we put up to hide our own fear or uncertainty. But true strength isn't a performance. It's a practice of inner stability. The source material calls this regulated authority. And this image captures it perfectly. Your inner stability is the foundation that creates outer clarity for everyone else around you. It's about being firm without being forceful, being compassionate without becoming a doormat, and holding people accountable without shaming them. That's regulated authority in action. Urgency addiction is a huge symptom of a leader who is reacting, not designing. It's this constant state of frantic motion that conveniently helps you avoid the real, deep work of figuring out what is truly important. Remember, the passenger is driven by urgency. The architect is guided by importance. Delay, putting things off, it's one of the clearest signs of passenger leadership. Every single time we avoid a hard conversation or fail to set a necessary boundary because we're afraid of how people will react, we are trading our agency for their approval. This one's a call to be radically honest with ourselves. We often dress up our fear in these very professional-sounding clothes, right? We call it discernment or strategy or just getting more data. But let's be real. Is it actually leading to action, or is it just a noble-sounding excuse for delay? Here's how you can tell the difference. True discernment produces clarity and ultimately action. Rumination, which is just fear on a hamster wheel, produces only noise and more delay. The antidote to all that rumination is agency, and you don't build it with one big, grand decision. You build it with consistent, small, micro actions that reclaim your power to choose. Okay, we're now at the deepest level of the foundation, your core identity. Is your sense of who you are located in something stable and internal, or is it tied to the shifting sands of your job title, your reputation, and what other people think of you? And this question is the ultimate stress test for that last one. In this prove-it economy we live in, it feels like our legitimacy is tied to our results. If the numbers go down, our sense of worth goes right down with it. An architect's legitimacy, however, is internal. It doesn't just collapse when the external validation goes away. This right here, this is the core problem, the core distortion that all these questions are designed to heal. It's that moment when performance stops being a tool you use and becomes the very identity you inhabit. And that, my friends, is what creates a culture of pressure, burnout, and fear. So as we start to bring this to a close, I really want you to hear this loud and clear. These questions aren't a test for you to pass or fail. They are simply tools for a practice lab. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is just to be present, to be aware, and to keep practicing. So let's end here. Forget about some grand 5-year plan for a minute. What is one small, concrete step you can take this week to move from being a passenger to an architect? Pick one conversation to finally have, one boundary to set, or one decision to make. That is where the practice begins.